Welcome back. It's time for another Blink FAQ because if I don't, I'm going to go insane. So, I get this question a lot, especially when I get some new piece of gear. And this is my newest piece of gear. It's a Squier Tom DeLonge signature. And if you're not familiar with it, Tom had like a signature guitar through Squier and Fender back in like the early 2000s before he switched over to Epiphone and Gibson. And the Gibson signature went for a while, but frankly, he has more young fans than older fans, and they can't afford, a $3,000 Gibson guitar. So the Epiphone has been ongoing since, and the Gibson, as far as I know, is out of print. You could probably get it in the custom shop or something if you really wanted. But every time I get a new piece of gear, there's always somebody asking if I would ever get and what are my thoughts on the Epiphone Tom DeLonge 333 guitar. And I'll be completely honest, when Tom first started using it and right before it actually came out, I was very excited. I thought it was really cool. I thought it had a nice look to it, and I still do, but I didn't know anything about Semihollows. I didn't know, I'd never played one, and I was young. I was like 13 or 14. I'd only been playing guitar for a little while, and I was excited and hopeful that I was going to be in a price point that was right for me. And I didn't really have any interest in the Epiphone, and it actually took a little while for the Epiphone to come out because the Gibson was out first, I believe. But I was under the impression that the guitar was going to cost a lot less as a Gibson. I thought it was going to be like a Gibson USA, not so much the Gibson Memphis. The Memphis stuff is, usually like $2,000 and up, and the USA stuff is usually like in the lower thousands, and that was obviously not the case. So I kind of was bummed, and I didn't end up getting it. And a couple years went by, and actually quite a few years went by. This maybe almost 10 years, 9 or 10 years. This was around 2012 or so. So yeah, about 9 years was when I decided, you know what, I want to try a semi-hollow. I want to get a semi-hollow. So I had bought a Epiphone ES339, which is a little bit smaller than a 333 and a 335. And then oddly enough, that same day, my grandfather had given me this guitar behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but this is my ES335, made by Gibson. It's made in the 80s, and it was my great-grandfather's for a very long time. And I was very lucky to get that guitar because it taught me a lot about semi-hollows, and that one in specific. And I quickly learned that 335s and 333s are just not for me. Not at all. They are very bulky. They're very uncomfortable for me. They're okay if you're standing, but I play a lot sitting down. I do play occasionally standing up, but most of when I'm writing or recording, I'm sitting down. And it's just not easy to play. It doesn't really inspire me to play. And I just don't see myself ever buying one of those guitars. A couple years ago, I was at a local Guitar Center store, and they had one. They had one up on the wall, used. So I thought I'd try it out. And my honest impressions, I was already familiar with the pickup. I had used the pickup in some other guitars. It's the Gibson Dirty Fingers. And, the pickup sounded good. It fit the guitar pretty well. And it really was just kind of lackluster. I mean, Epiphones as a whole just do not do it for me. I feel like even the cheapest Gibson is always going to be better than the most expensive Epiphone. It's just the way that it is, in my opinion. And that has nothing to do with just brand names. It just has to do with the quality control, really, and just the overall feel of the guitar. I mean, there's just something about Epiphones that's just always rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know, I don't honestly think that it would be worth it for me to get one of those guitars, other than the fact that I could make a review video for it. That is the only reason I would ever do it. And honestly, if that was going to be the case, I would get one from Guitar Center, make the review, and return it to Guitar Center, because they have such a lenient return policy. They have like a 30 or 45 day policy or something. So, and I have considered doing that, so maybe that'll happen. I'm not saying it's a definite, but I would never buy one of those guitars and keep it. This is a Squier. This is definitely a lower quality guitar. It's on the same sort of pay structure as an Epiphone, but these guitars are 10 times better than an Epiphone. So, I mean, I don't think I would ever buy one. On the case of the Gibson, they're very rare. They're hard to find. Most of the people that have them are super fans, and they know that they can get a lot of money for them. If somebody put one up on, Reverb or eBay for a stupidly good price, like under $2,000, and I just had the money, then I would probably buy one just to try it for a while, and then I would maybe sell it. Maybe I'd keep it if I ended up being really impressed by it. Because, I mean, I will say, as much as, I complain about the 335s, my 335 is an incredible sounding guitar, and it does play very well. It's just uncomfortable. Tom is 6'4". He is a big dude, and, the Strats are tiny for him. They always have been. And, the 335 and the 333 fit him really well. So, I get that. But for me personally, no, it just doesn't work. So, that's about it. I mean, I don't see myself ever finding a good deal on a Gibson, because most people know what they have, unless, maybe it needs pretty big repair, which, maybe I could undertake, or maybe someone just doesn't know what they have. I don't know, but that would be a dumb stroke of luck. So, anyway, that's the question, that's the answer, and I'm sure you'll be seeing more of these pretty soon. So, thanks for watching.